Hello and welcome back for another season of the North America Gaelic Games podcast. And what a way we have to kick it off with the new chairperson of the USGAA, Paul Keane, along with a familiar face, John Young, who's been one of the many people spearheading the first USGAA County Team, who will be travelling to Ireland in July to compete in the All-Ireland Junior Championship. Before we get going, as always, we want to give a huge shout out to Des and his team at Masita for all their hard work and dedication ensuring clubs are ready to go for the upcoming season. And they are the official store of the USGAA County Gear team, where you can get all of your jerseys, polos, crew necks. They're all there. They're ready to go. And let's not waste any time because we got a lot of stuff to talk about here. But let's just kick it off right away. So tell us a little bit about the journey of this USGA County Team and where it all began and where we are right now, because it seems to be coming along very quickly and it's right around the corner. So yeah, let's start from the beginning.
I suppose, Garrett, thanks for having us on for a start, and thanks for the support you're giving us here throughout the next few weeks. This probably started about 2 years ago with Niall Erskine and Bernie Connaughton. Niall was then World GA chair. Bernie was USGA chair. They started having conversations about, how do we extend the player pathway for our players here? How do we get them, the next step up from youth program, club, county? And there was an opportunity. The competition had just kicked off in Ireland, the All-Ireland Junior Championship. So Bernie and the USGA board decided we would target that, entry into that for 2024. The first step was to kind of put together a feasibility group, a work group, or in GAA parlance, a committee, famous committee, that brought a report and a proposal to convention in Chicago in 2022. It was well received by the delegates there, by all the clubs. They felt it was definitely something we should be targeting. So we kind of took another look at it. We met with the divisional chairs in early 2023. They were fully on board with it, whatever it took to make it happen. I think the overwhelming feeling was that we needed to get it right in year one. That if we got it right in year one, it will take on a life of its own after that. So it was crucial we get a group behind it. We get what we've called a steering committee behind it, get the right management in place, give them whatever support we could from our side. So we had, a couple of conversations. I know Bernie and I had a conversation at Congress in Dublin in February of last year about who we put on the steering committee and how we'd structure it. And one name was front and foremost at the top of the list, which was John Young, to lead the steering committee to get this done and get it done well. So Bernie had a chat with John about it. We put a couple of other people on the committee from various reasons, being their strengths, what they can contribute to a steering committee, the reach they have, where they're located, things like that. And I think we got a very good steering committee in place probably 16 months ago, with a goal of checking all the boxes that need to be checked in order to get a team on the field in Dublin this July.
Paul, just while you're talking about the steering committee, firstly, thank you to the USGA board for entrusting me with the position. I do want to mention the actual steering committee, Gareth. I don't know if you know who all's on there, but we have Pat Uniacke on there, John Bridges from Chicago, and Eamon Kelly from Boston. In regards to the steering committee, it wasn't something that I had a piece in picking. It was a committee that I was given. And look, it's really easy to chair a committee whenever you have people like that working for you, working with you. Pat Uniacke's a past North American County Board chair. Did all of his administrating a little bit before me, so I wasn't as knowledgeable about Pat. But I can tell you, he is excellent to work with. He's a great guy to push you along. You have Eamon Kelly there. So between Eamon doing he was the past chairperson of the minor board in the Northeast Division. He's the current vice chair of the youth. That's a great person you have there, because a lot of interest in the player pathway, right? Running the youth and getting them up into that level. And then John Bridges, he's a past chair in Chicago. He's kind of one of the guys that, anything you need done, whether it's emptying the bins or presenting medals or whatever needs to be done to drive things along, he'll get it done. So I've been very lucky to be the guy that's chairing that committee, because the committee's very, very strong. Pat and Eamon, they ran the fundraising drive, and myself and John did the jersey sponsorship drive.
Just a quick question. How does that steering committee kind of like set up? So typically with like a typical board, especially USGA, you have your chairperson, your treasury, and different positions like that. How does a steering committee set up compared to other boards like that?
Look, pretty much the same thing. Look, we all have our talents. Like Paul said, we were all picked for our different reasons of what we brought to the board. So the same thing. Look, there's really no need for a chair except for somebody has to drive along, set the meetings, that sort of stuff. And then administratively, like we have Rob Tierney there to help us. Keeps all our books in order. Keeps the funds checked for us. Does a lot of the itineraries and stuff for our weekends. I mean, Tom Walsh has been a great help from the county board. Mary Redmond has been there, sort of right keeping the history of the team here in year one. We have Paul, we have Liam Maloney, we have um, Peter Murray there, sort of the USGA management. Being that we're a subcommittee of the USGA board, so look, we have a long leash in what we need to do, and we just check in with the county board. Meetings wise, we probably meet every 3 weeks, more frequent before events. We set our budgets. We make sure we're maintaining our budget line. And like I said, it's a really easy committee to be on because we all have a love of development, right? And that's what drives it along. We're really close. We're back to the game. I mean, we're only one step away from the game because the stuff that we're doing happens directly in the field. And like I said, it's a real pleasure to be working on the committee.
And Paul, how important is that communication line between the two? Because this has been going on a while now, and we're coming very close to July's right around the corner. So how important has that communication between the USGA and that steering committee to ensure that so far it looks like it's going very smoothly? How important has that communication piece been?
It's been important, Gary. John mentioned it there. We've kind of given them their own mandate. And they do, as John said, they have the support of Rob and Tom Walsh in particular for a lot of the duties around the money and the logistics. Occasionally, myself or Peter or Liam will join their calls if there's something coming up, some event coming up. John and myself are on the phone regularly. I won't say daily, but definitely multiple times a week, just catching up on various issues, that need to be addressed. And I think I'm and John is the same, a big believer in picking up the phone rather than sending an email and waiting for a reply a week later. So I think it is important, but it's also, we have a committee there that we trust and they have the support in place to get the logistics taken care of.
Yep.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about, getting on the phone to discuss some, maybe challenges you're facing. Is there any maybe like challenges that maybe you didn't see coming where it's like, wish we would have did that, because every project has their kind of challenges. Is there kind of something that's been tough for you guys?
I suppose, well, John can fill in more, but I would say like the biggest challenge, anything we do over here is, we're dealing with a jurisdiction that's 116 times the size of Ireland, and there's 32 county boards in Ireland. So that was the obvious one we knew ahead of time. Look, we'll do a review at the end of the year. There's stuff that pops up, here and there that I wouldn't say challenges, they're just obstacles you find a way around. But at the end of the year, we will do a report and say, look, this is stuff we'll do different in year two.
Yeah,
John,
that's like what Paul said. He's 100% correct, right? Because we are our biggest thing is financing and logistics, right? So making sure we have the funding there that we need. And then making sure that we can move the people around, there's a big expanse of land here that we've got to move people across, we can get into a little bit later, but whenever we move it to a training session, I mean, we're moving probably approximately 40 people around, for that, whether it's a training or a game. But like I said, the support of the community, the support of the county board, the steering committee, the management committee, look, it's all working out just fine. We're constantly knocking our heads together to make sure what we're doing is as right as we think we can do, right? We're always going to be able to do stuff better. And like Paul said, we're going to debrief after July and make sure we keep a full track history of what we're doing. What can we do better? How do we get better? And what did we do well that doesn't need to be changed?
Well, I guess then another big thing that's part of this whole let's just say program project would be the selection of the managers, the background staff. How much of a challenge was that? Because you're selecting from again more than 32 counties here, yeah. And there's a lot of great people out there from different areas across the country. So how much of a challenge was that, making sure you had the right people from all the different areas around the county?
Well, I suppose it'd be similar to, a manager picking players for a team, us picking management. You look at, well, first of all, the criteria is it's a homegrown based team. So you have to look at the clubs that have been implementing homegrown programs that are predominantly homegrown based. So you're looking for people that have been involved in youth programs through to adult teams. And that gives you a clearer picture then of who your candidates are. You look at what has their track record been with both youth and adult teams. Have they been able to deliver success, however you define your metric for success. I think the 4 people we picked as manager and selectors check all those boxes, meet all those criteria. They've involved, and Louis as trainer, obviously, they're all been involved with youth programs in their cities. They've all been involved with adult clubs in their cities. They've all been around homegrown players predominantly, and they've all delivered on the field and off the field.
Yeah, and I think just add to that as well too, the experience that they bring in. So whenever the steering committee meets, we have an open invite to the management committee and the USGA to attend those meetings in any capacity they would like. So Aidan and his crew will regularly come on our calls, so to make sure we're all kind of in line and parallel in our thoughts. Those guys bring a lot of experience to the table as well. So like I said, it's great to have the whole circle that's on the administrative end getting together and doing the planning together.
Which kind of led us to that first weekend of the tryouts in Chicago, which I mean, personally, I loved it. I was actually able to go in through Facebook and watch some of the games. We were fortunate to have one of our lads there this year, which was great to see for a junior club here in Worcester. But that's as far as that preparation. I'm sure there was a lot that went into that. But can you just touch quickly just on that Chicago event? And just the work that was put in to actually make that happen.
Yeah, I suppose, regards to players, and John, you have the numbers better than I have, but I believe it was over 160. So the clubs and divisions were asked to submit the players that they felt were of the standard required. And I think they got about 155 names.
Yep.
And, the lads had to filter that down. You can't get 155 players into a couple of trial matches. So, Aidan will fill you in more on what the criteria were and how they picked those players. John then organised the events in Chicago, the local logistics, the divisions and clubs organised getting the players in there.
Yeah, it was real handy, because John Bridges from the committee was there in Chicago. Jim Staunton from the management committee was there in Chicago. So we had people on the ground to do a lot of the organising first. And like I said, I think the coverage of that weekend, Gareth, you're 100% correct. That was a very highly watched event. We did a games-based model. Will that be the way it is in the future? Who knows? Because again, we have to debrief, right? And see, is that the way to move forward now that we have a core team? I think interesting things are then, we moved over, once we got down to the 35 players, that was over 13 different clubs. We went into Tampa for a phase 2 training and selection weekend. Then we went into Philadelphia for with 35 players from 13 clubs, and they got 2 more opportunities to show their skills. Look, it's very hard to show up for a few hours in the game and show your skills. So they were much more intimate events, right? Once they had nailed down who they wanted to see more of. We had Pat O'Shea come in from Munster. Munster's great support to have Pat, an All-Ireland winning manager and player. They're helping us with coaching drills, selection process. We're very, very fortunate, So now that they're down to the 20 players over 12 different clubs, I suppose I'll give you a little bit. I think people will be interested to know what's going to happen from here on in, right? Mm-hmm. So we're on the 11th of May. We're going into Boston with the team, and this will be our first game. Very historical, and it's great that it's in the grounds there in Canton. That we're going to play a Boston select team. Paddy McDivitt there, the divisional chair there, great, very welcoming. We have Eamon Kelly there, we have Martin Kerr there. They're all. It's great to go into these cities and have all of this support, right? To have those grounds at the cultural centre available to us, just like we did in Philly, like we did in Tampa, and to have the GAA people in those cities there, and just can't wait to help you with what you're doing. So that's going to be a big event for us. We'll do a training session on the Friday night, the 10th of May, at Canton. Then we'll do a game against the Boston Select. That'll be 2 p.m. on May the 11th here. And then after that, we're going to go in again to Boston, and we're going to play against Queen's University. So these are two great games, right? The Queen's University game will be that one's on June the 15th, and most likely in around 4 o'clock. That's a huge day, by the way. Queen's is doing a whole big thing. There's a camogie tournament there that day for teams from all over the place. So it's a huge day going on in Canton. So it's great to be there as a part of that, to showcase the work and efforts that the GA membership has put in, like, to make this happen. Because, like, it's real easy to, lead and do this and do that, but the support of the GA community membership is what's key. From there, then we're going to be prepared and we're going to go to Ireland and play. That's where all the marbles are, right? So we're going to go in July the 8th into Limerick. And we're going to be at the University of Limerick. We're going to do kind of like a mini camp, right? 3 days. Do our thing on the Tuesday. We'll most likely play a challenge game. We're waiting on Pat O'Shea to confirm that. Then on the Thursday, we're going to travel up to Dublin on July the 11th. On July the 12th, we're going to play against whoever our opponent is. Paul can talk a little bit about the draw and stuff and how that works. And that'll be in Abbottstown in Dublin, most likely either 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the evening. When we win that game, will be the curtain raiser for the All-Ireland semi-final for football. That would be great. That's great for notice. That's where we want to be, Paul, do you want to talk a little bit about the draw and that sort of scenario?
Yeah, well, I suppose there's a quarter final to take place first, and it'll be the runners-up in the British Provincial Championship versus Kilkenny. Ourselves and New York and the British Provincial Champions get straight through to the semi-final. That game, I believe, is a week or a week and a half earlier, and the draw is going to be an open draw to take place after that once to know who wins that quarter final. So we're kind of in a holding pattern as to exactly who will be playing and which slot we get on the Friday evening in Abbottstown. So there's still a few things to we haven't planned out fully yet.
But I know we obviously don't want to be thinking too far ahead, but avoiding that New York team for a potential Boston or for a potential USGAA team versus New York, it's almost written in the stars in the front of the Irish Times or in the back of it. But,
I mean, all games are good games, but that would be a really good game, right?
That would be a phenomenal one.
We're under no illusion. We know, there's seasoned teams that we're in there. We're the new guys in town to play that, and we know we're against some serious competition, and we hope that we go in there and represent the USGA well.
Yeah, and obviously I'll be talking to Ian, who's the manager, who'll probably get into some of the more, strategic on the pitch stuff, some of the 13s versus the 15s, and, obviously that lads from playing all across the country that maybe hasn't been playing as much as some of the clubs that are going to be playing from the Kilkennys and the other parts. But just another thing to touch on, just when we talk about Boston, the CYC is also in Boston this year, so a really, really big year for Boston, and I'm actually looking forward to that game. The two games that'll be one in Boston. I'll be making sure it's on my calendar for that. And
definitely excited about it, right? Because we put all of this work into it, and now we get to see the fruits of the labor, right? We get to see because there's always the question mark about we don't train enough together, we don't do this. But look, the players are with their clubs. They have selectors in every city that's checking their progress, doing individual work with them. They're playing with their clubs then again at home. I firmly think that this model will work out just fine for USGA, and we can prove that in this year.
I think it is unfortunate the CYC is the same weekend as this, because it'd be a huge, if we were fortunate enough to win it this year or any year, it'd be great to have the captain is a Boston man, Jack Lynch. It'd be great to have Jack bringing the All Ireland trophy out to the CYC if it was a week later. But maybe next year, I think the CYC will probably be a bit later next year. Maybe we'll be able to do it next year, hopefully. But it is a great promotion.
That's the recognition too you're looking for, on our county players. We want kids to want to be them, right? To want to play on this team, and whenever I was growing up there, we had some great football in Down over the years. Maybe not as great at the minute, but you aspired to be those fellas who are out there playing the red and black, or Westmeath, Dublin, whatever county you're from, and we intend to instill that type of pride in the USGA,
Speaking of that, and just, obviously you lads have been around the GAA and especially the USGA a long time. Even though that you lads aren't the ones putting on the jerseys, how proud are you lads, of, the years that have been put in growing this, homegrown setup to be the ones actually spearheading this. I'm sure there's a lot of people to thank along the way for making this happen, but it must be a proud moment for both of yous to be, John spearheading the steer committee, and Paul, your first year in the USGA as the chairperson. So it must be a proud moment for you both to have this on your resumes.
Yeah, it is. But you talked earlier about when this process started, and I suppose truth being truth, it started when 1959, the likes of Peter Donnelly and John Courtney and John O'Brien sat down in a room in Philadelphia and set up the first national structure for Gaelic games in this country. Every step that every chair and every board has made since then has got us to where we are today. And we talk about our partners. The Games Development Programme that was put in place 20 years ago in partnership with Munster and Croke Park and the Department of Foreign Affairs has helped us get these players to this level. So it is a proud moment for us, but there's been a lot of people, thousands of people that got us to where we are today, or where we will be in July.
Yeah, and that's the key. I think what I'd say on top of that is we're literally guys at just the tip of the spear. You know what I mean? We have done kind of the least amount of work required to make this happen, right? Because all of the people that came before us that built the foundation, built the several floors for us to be able to get on at the top and finish this off. But people have asked me why are you doing this? And you know what I tell them? The time is right. It feels right. The support is right. The players are there. The infrastructure is there. We're 100% right on time with doing this. Now, if we'd have done it before, it might have been too early, If we waited, we might be too late. I firmly believe, the time is right now, to take this project on and this initiative and push it forward. And like I said, I'm very proud to be a part of it. I know I'm a very small fish in the ocean that made this happen, but I'm glad that I'm actually a part of it. It's very exciting.
And Gary, just to John's point there about timing of it, I think for me, to some extent there was a curiosity of how this would work out when we started the process 2 years ago. But when you're in Chicago at a trial game and the lads are insistent on going to extra time, that's when they've bought into it. There was no quarter given in those trial games. We've all, at some point or other in our careers coming up, we've been in trial games, whether it's colleges or wherever. Lads wanted to go to extra time. That's how much it meant to them. That's when, I bought into this is the right time now, to John's point there.
Yeah.
And a cracking game it was, that final.
Great game.
Yeah, it really was. And, and just John, you just talked on support there. None of this would be possible without the support from the people all across the US and Ireland, people in Ireland too. How has that support been for you guys from, you guys talk about that you've had this welcomed with open arms, this whole idea and this project, but without the support of the communities, we wouldn't be here. Yeah. So how important has that been?
So there was 3 phases of how we addressed this, right? From steering committee, USGAA management, whenever we knocked our heads together, right? The first phase was the support you get between Croke Park and Munster, right? That's not just money, right? It's services, it's experience, it's advice, right? Then we have the support of our membership, right? Where we had, again, help, GAA cities. When we go into the city, people can't wait to help you, drive you around. We had a draw that we did. And then the third phase was the jerseys. So I know Paul was going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we did in that, and then I was going to finish up with the jersey stuff.
Yeah, so I suppose, look, the first one you hit there was Ireland. The support we've got, even before we get into the finances, the support we got with advice, with direction, how we make this happen, how we jump hurdles. There was a motion of Congress to change the official guide in order to allow us to participate. The support we got from counties and from Central Council delegates. Gerard Dillon can tell you about a meeting that was there in December in Central Council where there was a lot of conversations had prior to it to make sure we were playing in Ireland and not playing a qualifier over here. So the support we got that way was brilliant, very welcoming, as John said. Then you get down into the finance side of it. We're getting a travel grant from Croke Park, which is phenomenal. It's a huge help to us. I know obviously had to give a compelling reason that this was valuable. And I think when they saw what we've done with development over the last 20 years, they realised that this is the fruition of that development, and it's a good investment, that travel grant. Our twinning partners in Munster are giving us cash on the table as well. They're picking up expenses for a significant number of our activities in Ireland. And on top of that, then, Kieran Leddy has been, the CEO of Munster, been working very closely with Rob on stuff in logistics in Ireland. And, it all sounds simple, but it's not simple when you add it all up. Stuff like accommodation in Limerick, accommodation in Dublin, getting us from point A to point B to point C, getting physios, getting training support, getting nutrition and all of that, right, for the players. And John, you can talk more about that side of it in a minute, but the support we've got there is brilliant. And John's point, the support we've got across the country, we had targeted a certain figure in what we hope to raise, both from sponsorship of jerseys and from the sweepstakes draw. We absolutely exceeded on that number by, I think, 50 to 60% on a sweepstakes draw. And that was people buying into the concept of a team of homegrown players representing this organisation in a competition in Ireland.
Yep, and that's where Paul's 100% correct. Look, there's a lot of moving parts, right? The logistics is craziness. Just like, every time you move somewhere, it's 40 people have to move, whether it's buses, just down to having gum shields available, like in case the players have forgotten them, food 3 times a day, proper athlete nutrition, right? I mean, something I just learned about. There was no such thing whenever I was playing. You just
So they're not
ate
getting
whatever you
Friar
got.
Tucks. There's no trip up the Friar Tucks for a
No, a
chicken
couple
burger.
of chicken burgers like it used to be. Now it's like pastas and carbohydrates and all that stuff, which is great. Like, because that's where the athletes have evolved to. But I'm learning it also as well as my steering committee, and that's the advice that we're getting, right? Physios, UPMC is going to come in and help us with physios whenever we're in Ireland. And like I said, it's a fun trip. We're learning as we go. The key thing is to put a product that we're all proud of out on the field, whether we're in Boston, whether we're in like an event in the evening where the county team is there and is in the crowd, that we represent USGAA in the best way possible,
And have any of you lads had the chance to talk to any of the players, just, and how they're feeling about the upcoming trip and just any stuff like that?
Yeah, so so Jack Lynch is the captain there up in Boston there, and he had to go out and do some photographs around Boston last week and stuff. He found out being the captain is just not leading your the charge in the field. There's a lot of stuff off the field that you have to do, and he's been a very willing participant in helping us, advertise the where we're going with this thing. And Shane Bradley's the vice captain now of the team, and like I said, I know those boys will get into it, but look, the players know what we're about, right? Which is spread the gospel of the USGA, show what we are, show what all the work that people have done before us, and make our members proud of us. That's our job and our mission.
And no matter how well they, obviously, as long as they go out there and put the effort in, this is obviously at the start of something. We're hoping that could be something that's going to be an annual thing where these lads go back and have something for these younger lads that are playing at the CYC in Boston to look at and be like, I could actually see myself being there. I could be representing not only my county, but coming over from the US, not being an Irish-born person, but going and representing the US as a whole, obviously minus New York, but to represent not just a county, but almost a country, which is definitely a proud moment I'm sure, for a lot of these lads.
And so here's the one thing I can tell you, Gareth, right? This thing is continuing no matter what happens this year, right? Because here's the deal, right? If you do this here for a year and then you take a break, it'll never happen again, right? So like Paul has talked about with the USGA support and whatnot, we're writing the book on how to do this and do it much easier year by year, right? Because whenever something happens year after year, it becomes a habit, which means it's normal, right? So the first couple of years it's a little bit awkward, a little bit rigid, and then it becomes a habit and it's very, very easy, So like I said, this player pathway is there and it's there to stay. We intend to do well in the field, but no matter what happens, this is there to stay, and we'll continue to push it.
And to your point of this being a learning process in year one, I think, definitely, I'll give you an example. The document came out, John, you know the document I'm talking about the game, and that match control of game for Abbottstown and Croke Park, two separate documents. Everything even in the semi-final in Abbottstown is timed down to the second. I'm looking at it here right now, from last year's version of it. The game is due to start at 5:30 p.m. To tell you who has to leave at half time. Team A leaves the field immediately, Team B leaves the field once the tunnel is cleared. They even have an estimated time, if it goes as far as penalties, that penalties will start at 7:28 p.m. There's this level of organisation around these games that we've never encountered before. So everything is a learning experience. Our county secretary for the first time ever will be filling out team sheets to give to a referee. Stuff we've never done before. So all of this is a learning experience for us. And hopefully next year and the year after then, as John said, this is, definitely a 3-year project with this steering committee and this group of management. We'll have a fine-tuned machine, hopefully with a lot of silverware by the end of this.
Yeah. Well, this is a county team.
Yeah.
And you almost have to treat it, just like you were a county that's competing in the Ulster Championship and the All-Ireland, Sam Maguire.
Yes.
You see how organised these groups are, and, you have to, you started how you wanted to progress.
Yeah, whenever we look at the likes of like New York there, for example, playing the junior, playing in the Senior All-Ireland Championship, playing the Tallaght Cup, we can't get there if we don't start somewhere, right? This is the start. Where it's going to finish is, we know where it can finish, and that's hopefully where we're going to take it to. But like I said, if we didn't start something, Gareth, we can't get there to those higher levels. So that's the intention. The one thing too I did want to mention, like, jerseys are something else. They're like armor, right? You know what I mean? It's the biggest deal ever. Like the jersey, what it's going to look like. What you're going to represent yourself with. I did want to mention the sort of sponsors that are noted on the jersey. So we have the AOH. The exciting times with them. They have a group that runs parallel to ours. And I was just with the AOH president actually there on Friday night up in Buffalo. We were at an awards dinner. Danny O'Connell, and we got to talking about it a little bit. We still have to have our formal meeting with the USGAA and stuff to figure out exactly where the partnership's going. But they have a lot of Irish minded people. They have great support systems for volunteers for whenever we need them. I believe they helped volunteer in Denver at our most recent USGAA finals. Like I said, they have a big thing there to offer us, like quite a monster of a organization. We have a lot to offer them, right? A younger incoming people that are that way inclined and minded. So they have members in all 50 states. We can work together to make better things happen for each other, right? They had the foresight to come in on board with us on that. We had a guy, Tom Dowd Construction Service, father from Kerry, his wife's from Armagh, fully entrenched. His son was in the down to the final 35 players, like I said. So very, very entrenched in the GA. Great man. He's got a high-end construction business. And then you had the Young Enterprises. So that's a company there that obviously I'm involved with. We kind of do like a lot of American-based sports work, kind of like what Masita does for American teams. And then we wanted to recognize the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust on our jersey. We thought you need to give notice to somebody as well. Like, you can't just just stick logos all over the jersey with no meaning. Like, that one had a lot of meaning to us because a lot of our members have been able to take advantage of what they have to offer. And the thing about it is, you never know how much you need them till you need them. And I know, Paul, I don't know, you could speak about them a little bit more. You had a clubmate that you had to take advantage and get help from Kevin Bell on.
Yeah, I think there's a number of people, GA people and Irish people across the country. They help offset the costs of repatriating people who've tragically passed abroad. I think apart from just the financial side of it, their know-how, their ability to deal with the system, to give advice. And, I met Colin at Congress. He's a Newry man as well. And he was telling me, like, some of the countries, it's one thing repatriating somebody from the US, where there is fairly regulated processes, but you go down to some other countries where there's no processes, and he told me, some of the stories they've had to deal with in getting the person repatriated from these countries. they're a blessing to have for people abroad if when they meet tragic circumstances. So, I think John mentioned it there. It was an anonymous donation, and we used that to give Kevin Bell the spot on the sleeve. I think it's an organisation well worthy of our support.
Yep,
100%. And Collie's a friend of the family, and he's actually our own family personally dealt with something. I know out in San Francisco, my uncle Pat, who is very heavily involved with the Ulster Club, they also assisted with them. So they're a phenomenal organisation, great people, really, really great people. And that's when I seen the Kevin Bell up on the sleeve, it definitely hit home for me, and it was great to see because they do help a lot, especially in the GAA community globally, not just here in the US, but Australia and Canada, different countries as well. Another friend of mine who was out in Qatar, who actually, John, you had the pleasure of meeting him as well, Eamon Morgan. So they've definitely made families' lives a lot easier. So very proud to see that up there. And then
a good charity that we were able to recognize on our jersey. And like I said, I think it's good to do stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
And not just, and we talk about, obviously the sponsorships from the funds, but just something that's really important as well, aside from the actual funds, is the people that have been contributing their time to making this happen. You touched a little bit on the steering committee, some of them people there, but is there some people that you maybe want to recognize for their dedication to making sure this really happens? This project happens.
Yeah, I think just in the really close circle, I'd like to thank the members of Tampa Bay GA for helping us whenever we went there. I think I'd like to thank all the members of Chicago GA that helped us whenever we went there. And I'd like to thank the members of Philadelphia GA whenever we went there. Look, there's a big circle of people here that can be thanked. And I know Paul might want to go into a bit more, but in my tenure on this committee, those people helping us to go into that city. It's not easy whenever you're not from a city, you don't have vehicles and all that stuff, to go in and be able to get your logistics and get all of the help, with the calls that you're making beforehand, the field space, all of that stuff. So those were really important people in the immediate circle. Paul, is there anybody that you'd like to talk about in the outside circle?
Yeah, I think you've hit on most of them there. The steering committee have named the management. I suppose Bernie kicking it off, and the work Bernie did last year to get us here, a huge part of it. I think, to your point, John, anytime we went anywhere with one of these events this year, Chicago, Tampa, Philadelphia, you pick up a phone. It's not a question of why you're ringing me again. It's what else can I do for you? No problem at all. And to be honest, it's not just around these training weekends. Anytime we organise anything for any of our cities, whether it's a meeting or a development meeting or anything like that, they all go above and beyond in making sure you're well looked after.
Yeah, and we're going to go into Boston here now twice, and play, and there's a lot of logistics involved in that. And your Northeast Divisional Board, phenomenal. Different members that I've talked to, John Farrell, Martin Kerr, that's on our management committee already. Just whatever you need, lads, it'll be sorted. Don't worry about it. Just tell us what you need,
Yeah, no, the people of the Boston GA, the Northeast GA, always willing to help, and great people on that new board as well. But I guess to move away from that side, so really, how do we think we're going to do? What is the expectations? Because I know if Aidan Core doesn't bring that core back, he's going to have some answer to.
Well, I suppose from our side, administratively, it'll be a success once we get a player stepping on the field in Abbottstown. That's the measurement of success for me, is it becomes a reality. And that everybody buys into it, and it takes on a life of its own, and then becomes self-perpetuating, for want of a better word, year after year after year. As regards how they're going to do in the field, and I had this conversation with one of the New York officers here a couple of weeks ago. We don't know how it's easy for other teams. They have taken part in it the last couple of years. They know what the standard is. I think we've a damn good team. I think they're going to be trained and coached and given up every opportunity to perform at their best. I think that their best is good enough, but we won't know because we're kind of speculating what the standard will be. We've not taken part in it, but again, coming back to my original comment, success for us, measurement of success is stepping on the field in Abbottstown, getting the team on the field in Abbottstown.
Yeah, and like the keep on that train. Like you said, like a lot of people will look at lifting a cup as success. Like I think like success will be other people wanting to be a part of this
Yeah.
in the future, right? I think that's where success is, because look, it'll keep going, it'll keep growing. It's only going to get bigger from here, so long as people want to be a part of it. Uh, that's where I would consider success. Look, players and manager stuff are only going to they're going to be pushing forward for wins and all that stuff. And look, I want wins as bad as the next person, but I want like the future people to want to be a part of this thing also. Like young players at CYCs, to aspire to be on the USGA County Team.
I think, John, do you remember that comment that Aidan made to the players down in Tampa when we were wrapping up on the Saturday, that this is not just about this panel of players, it's about the lads that are 15, 16, 17 that are going to be on this squad in 3, 4, 5 years' time, that we motivate them, we inspire them, and that they want to be part of this down the road. That to me is a measurement of success, bringing a cup out to, these lads go back to their youth programs with or without a cup, get involved in your youth programs throughout the summer. We all know what it was like being a kid in our own club when a county player came along. And I think that's where the real value is here in this, for me anyway.
I actually seen you both. So I seen Paul, you were in Newry for the convention, and John actually had the privilege of having Charlie Og over.
Yeah.
What has his response been to the USGAA County Team? Because I'm sure he's probably excited to see that team come over. What's been the conversation from him?
Look, so he happened to be in Pittsburgh because they were coming over to meet with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And look, the Irish were very good at taking advantage of their dignitaries in time to get a conversation with him and whatnot. And look, I had the opportunity to drive him around a little bit when he was here. I think as Jarlath comes in, his overseas knowledge isn't as strong as some others are, and he's gaining knowledge very, very quickly on it. And he was like a sponge, right? Because instead of him having his other people's ideas of what we are, he was able to listen to our idea of what we are. And he was amazed by, whenever he walked into a function room here in Pittsburgh, and there was about 100 people there to cheer him into the room. He couldn't believe that was there for him. And it's like, I explained to him, I said, you're the office of the Uachtaráin Crumlin Lasses Gael now. Like I said, when you go anywhere, particularly in the USA or outside of Ireland, this is the type of reception you're going to get. Like I said, he's learned as he goes along, but I think he'd be very good for us. And like I said, he's happy to give support wherever we need it. An interesting story I'll tell you is we were down at his hotel, and we were having a conference call with AOH to talk about sponsorship. And he was going to the American Ireland Fund dinner. He just happened to come down through the reception, and he came walking over, and he said, "What are you boys doing?" And we're like, "Oh, we're having a sponsorship conversation with AOH." He said, "Can I join?" He sat down. He spent 10 minutes with AOH on the computer, talked to him about the values of the GA and why it would be a good sponsorship, and he jumped right into it, and pretty much, helped us sign the deal. Because how many opportunities are you going to get to have the Uachtaráin sit in on a county sponsorship call? So that was something that's really cool. He's a good man. I'm looking forward to see what he does with the GA, and I'm looking forward to see what he does for us in overseas units, because that's what we care about mostly.
Yeah.
Paul, anything add for that?
Yeah, no, I think, John has hit all the notes there on Jarlath. I think the staff in Croke Park are really, and particularly, Charlie Harrison and New World GA chair there, Kieran McLaughlin, but Charlie in particular is very, very high on this. So he is very supportive of it, sees the value in it. And I know at Congress, Charlie and Larry McCarthy is outgoing Uachtaráin, and Jarlath is incoming, launched the World GA strategy, the first ever one, and player pathways were an important part of it. So I think we've definitely got the support and the belief from the right people in Croke Park to make this happen.
Yep, Paul, you're 100% correct. Charlie Harrison's great. It's like anything that you need, he's our go-to international officer. Like I said, emails are flying, the help is there. Kieran McLaughlin, great, was over to CYC there in Chicago. Good knowledge of overseas units. Like I said, we have some very strong support in very high places, and that's some of the keys to being successful, because people see you and they feel the energy that you're putting into it and the workload you're putting into it, and they just can't wait to help you more with it.
Yeah, and I suppose it's a conversation, and John, Geraldine very well as well. Gerald's the muster chair that's made a lot of this happen for us, and Jared's been out at a couple of our USGA finals now. He was in Virginia in 19. He was in Denver last year, Chicago the year before, and he sees what's going on the ground. So people like Ger, Charlie, Kieran, they see what we're producing, so they know that the investment they're making is worthwhile. And it's great to see. It's great for us that they know that. The DFA are giving us support on a lot of stuff, the Department of Foreign Affairs. And this is really the output of all the investments they've made over the years.
Yeah, that's where it's at. And like the other thing too, like just on a side note there before we wrap up, like I want to mention Masita as well. We've been working with Masita in regards to all the gear. Like they've been a phenomenal sponsor of the USGA. What I think it's probably 7 or 8 years. Paul, is it for Masita? Like and Masita have grown with us. They've learnt the American needs and serviced them well. And I've had the good fortune of dealing with them on this county team stuff, and the stuff that we put out. Look, I'm wearing some of it here myself, and it started arriving. We'll have all the teams kitted out up, and the team will be fully kitted out by the time we get to Boston with all of their gear and representing USGA well. And like I said, I want to say thanks to Des and his staff for all the work that they do and the support that they give to USGA as well. They do have that store, and there is proceeds from that go towards helping the county team funding. So, like I said, whenever you're doing that, you're indirectly helping the USGA County Team whenever you're buying product from there, as well as having product to wear to support us.
Beautiful. Before we start wrapping up, almost like an opportunity where wouldn't it be amazing that if this was all documented from start to finish? Oh my God, it would be an unbelievable docuseries.
Yeah.
If it was cameras from day one in the background, in every meeting, and then obviously the journey there. Obviously hindsight 2020, but that would have been a hell of a documentary. Still, you never know. Still could happen.
Yeah, and you know what the greatest thing is, Gaza, right? Whenever you get like 8 or 10 strong-minded GAA people put together, they're going to go in with all different opinions of how to get from A to Z, but they're going to come out of the meeting with the same opinion of how to get to A to Z. It's just going to take a while, and that's the cool thing about the GAA, right? We all have an idea, but the end goal is the same way. We just have different maybe methods of our roads that we want to take to get there. But we're really good at getting on board with each other whenever we get a good debate going and make an agreement.
Well, lads, I think that's a great place to wrap up. But before we do, just want to thank you both for your time and all of your efforts to make this happen. I know somebody who's been with the USGA now for over 10 years now. It's absolutely phenomenal to see what's actually been the years of putting in to see an American-born county team. I have 2 kids, and one day would it be absolutely unbelievable to see my kids potentially playing for a USGA team playing in Ireland. So. Hopefully this is the start of something that's going to be for many years. And thank you again, lads. And we wish you all the best, you and the whole team. And bring back a cup.
Thanks, Gareth. Appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be back with a cup.
Yeah, the same, Gareth. Like, thanks for helping us tell the story, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's really appreciated your time and your efforts. This is what we're talking about, like with people just constantly willing to help. Whatever skill set they have, they're willing to bring it to the table to help us succeed. So thank you very much to yourself as well.
Of course, and this is the first part of a 3-part series. We're lucky to have our next episode will be the manager, who is Aidan Core, and then followed up by Jack Lynch, who is actually the captain. Should we call him Captain America?
Captain America, yes. I think a lot of the lads are already calling him Captain America.
Has he embraced that name as much as he has embraced the photographs?
I don't know if he has embraced it, but he's definitely that's one of the nicknames he has definitely got on the team so far.
I love it.
Yeah,
hey,
I'm looking forward to hearing those guys as well and getting insight into their method of their madness also.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Aidan. I had a great conversation with him today, and his methods, his philosophy is very interesting. Something that I definitely cater to and can relate to as a millennial millennial. Is that what we're
Yeah.
called? As a younger buck,
I don't think
not
I was younger
anymore
than
though.
millennial. I think.
But yeah, I think he has got great philosophies that I'm very much looking forward to his story and how we have got to where we are now. And all three will be released before Boston.
Yeah, so
So
I'll just through being around Aiden quite a bit, like over the last little bit, like Jimmy, I always seen him as a very calm, cool, collected guy, right? Until I seen him take his first training, and then I seen a true leader, right? A guy that can whip the room into shape, let you know he's in charge, and pull the best out of you. And like, I think he was a great choice for manager. Like I said, I'm learning him as we work together more and more. But that's my first take on Aiden from us actually working together professionally in this environment. He's a machine. He's well capable of the job, and he's definitely a good leader for our team.
well, lads, that's a great place to end it. So we appreciate it again. Looking forward to get talking with the two boys, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks again,
All
lads.
right,
Take
thanks,
care.
Paul.
Cheers.
See you, Gareth.
See you, lads.
All the
Good luck.
best to you, right?